So I've had a lot of Eagles fans reach out to me and ask, Chase, is there any way that Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles can matriculate up the draft board, move up to take Abdul Carter, the incredible edge rusher out of Penn State? So I want to address that and talk about the prospect that is Abdul Carter, who, by the way, is a North Philadelphia native here on the show. And I'm also going to get into a more realistic defensive line freak who the Eagles can take with the 32nd overall pick, because even a gas mask isn't even going to allow Abdul Carter to fall to the Eagles with the 32nd overall selection. You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Thanks for hanging out. And if you want Eagles coverage every single day year-round, you know what I need you to do. Go on down and hit that subscribe button. A lot of Eagles fans out there want Philadelphia to draft Abdul Carter, and it's easy to see why. First of all, North Philadelphia native, as I said, grew up an Eagles fan, just went to New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. He was on hand at the Superdome with his pops, rooting on the Birds. And then, of course, a couple of weeks later, he was in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine, and now he's getting ready for the upcoming 2025 NFL Draft at the end of April. Has an opportunity to potentially go number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans, although what I think is going to happen, the Titans get their quarterback in Cam Ward, especially after his pro day. But when I was at the Combine, heard a lot of chatter about Ward being the number 1 quarterback on everybody's big board. I agree with that, and that's the direction that I think the Titans go. But I think Abdul Carter is going to be a top 5 overall selection regardless. And when I scout him, really enjoyed watching him at Penn State in 2024 as the Nittany Lions made that incredible run in the college football playoff. James Franklin finally winning some big games. And what's incredible about what Carter was able to do this year, this was his first year playing true edge rusher. And my gosh, did he impress during the 2024 campaign. Excellent size at 6'3", 252. We'll see what he weighs in at his pro day, because I think that number is a little bit inflated from what Penn State listed him as on their depth chart and on their website. And it's just wild how a player can have a natural feel for the position, instincts and feel, and just a knack for getting after the quarterback so consistently and in a dominant fashion in making that transition to edge rusher full-time in just a year. He has the burst, the twitch, the speed, the bend. He has the physicality to win at the attack, and 12 sacks, 43 hurries, an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 91.2 this past year for Penn State. And I know that Howie Roseman is aggressive. He shocks a lot of people. He pulls off a lot of bold moves. He has fleeced a lot of teams across the National Football League, which is why a lot of fans and people who watch this show have reached out to me asking about the Eagles moving up to take Carter. But Howie Roseman is not aggressive enough or even dumb enough, in my opinion, to move all the way up for Carter. You'd have to get inside the top 5, and in doing so, I know Abdul Carter would be a cost-controlled asset for the next 5 years at that edge rusher spot, but you'd have to give up a lot of draft capital in order to pull that off. You look at the 2025 NFL draft order. Here's the top 8. Titans, Browns, Giants, Patriots, Jags, Raiders, Jets, Panthers. I just don't envision a scenario, even with the questions around the foot injury, that Carter falls outside of this grouping here. And then you flip it to the next page, you have the Saints, Bears, Niners, Cowboys, Dolphins, Colts, Falcons, Cardinals, 17 through 24, Bengals, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Broncos, Steelers, Chargers, Packers, Vikings, and then lastly, Texans, Rams, Ravens, Lions, Commanders, Bills, Chiefs, and the Super Bowl winning Eagles there because they won the Super Bowl, picking last, 32nd in the 2025 NFL Draft. My prediction, I think Cam Ward goes number 1. I've been saying that since the NFL Combine. I think Shedeur Sanders goes inside the top 5. I'm looking at a team like the Cleveland Browns at 2 or the New York Giants at number 3. And how many quarterbacks go inside the top 5, top 10 will really impact the rest of the draft board, but not enough for Abdul Carter. My favorite player in this draft to fall within range for the Eagles to move up via a trade. He might slip, But a trade up from 32 is simply too far, even with the medicals being a slight concern. It is cool, though, to think about the possibility. Here's what Carter had to say about the Eagles Super Bowl victory. It was dope going there. I really just got to enjoy my last year, really being a fan, being from Philly, born and raised, supporting the Eagles really my whole life. Got to take my dad to the Super Bowl, just enjoying being a fan one last year. I feel like I'm shaped a lot with my Philly roots. It's my toughness, my grit. I feel like that's really the biggest thing I can take from Philly, and it really made me into the man I am today. Went to high school at LaSalle, by the way. And he also said this a couple of months ago, and I did a YouTube short on this that took off on YouTube. Quote, and this is direct from Abdul Carter, the man himself, playing for the Eagles would definitely be a dream of mine. And while Eagles fans are dreaming of a trade for Abdul Carter, again, it's just not going to happen. Here's what he did full-blown in 2024. 68 tackles, 24 TFLs, 12 sacks, 66 pressures, and he can make some plays along the line of scrimmage, both with the TFL numbers, making plays in the backfield, but I love the instincts of the pass breakup numbers there and the forced fumbles. He is a disruptive player, and I think the instincts, the feel there with the pass breakups, that's because he's played a lot of linebacker. He can read the eyes of the quarterback. He can react and diagnose plays. And you look at what he did throughout his Penn State career, 42 games played in totality, 23 sacks, 12 of them coming in 2024 with 114 pressures, and the body of work was there. He wasn't a full-time pass rusher. He was dropping back in coverage a little bit in 2022 and in 2023, but still had 6.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks, and then 20 pressures and 28 pressures before he really broke out in 2024. So with that, Abdul Carter, my favorite dream target for the Eagles. It's just not realistic. Who is your dream target for Philadelphia? Let me know down in the comments section. Abdul Carter, he knows all about the word John because he's from Philadelphia, America's birthplace. So we decided to put it on some shirts. If you want a Real John shirt, get yours today at chatsports.com/realjohn. Obviously, everybody who watches this show on the regular and who is subscribed is a real one, but you can also be a Real John if you're rocking and rolling with us from Philly and you're trying to represent. Again, chatsports.com/realjohn, available in black and Kelly green. Get yours today. All right, let's move on to this. Topic number 2. A realistic draft target for the Philadelphia Eagles is a player who I really like, and that's Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolen. I think that he could fall to Philadelphia with that final pick in the first round and help this Eagles defense replace Milton Williams. Former number 1 overall recruit in his high school class. He's so explosive, twitchy, and violent at 300 pounds. They get off at the line of scrimmage. Is very fast, so he can beat interior offensive linemen in a blink. I like his ability to stop the run and get after the quarterback as a pass rusher. The duality there is something that I think really translates to the next level. He has an awesome motor, plays really hard to the end of the whistle, and maybe sometimes after it. His pass rushing moves need some refinement, but if he were to fall to Philadelphia, Vic Fangio can help him with that. Clint Hurt can help him refine those skills, and the value of Nolen at 32 would be great for the Eagles. And I think that he can give Philadelphia meaningful snaps right away. I think he's ready to contribute at the pro level as a rookie. In 2024, he transferred to Ole Miss from Texas A&M as part of that ridiculous Texas A&M roster, and they had some wild recruiting classes too that just didn't result in a lot of victories for that program. But last year for Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin, 48 tackles, 14 TFLs. So again, he can make plays against the run, 6.5 sacks, 35 pressures as an interior defensive lineman with 3 pass breakups and 2 forced fumbles. And with a lot of draft prospects, I always get concerned about a lone breakout year or limited college production. To me, while Nolen never really fulfilled the expectations of being the number 1 overall recruit and player in his high school class, he still played pretty well, an impressive body of work and resume at Texas A&M. Like, to have 16 pressures in back-to-back years, That's no fluke. The TFL number is not bad. Sack number solid. And then in 2024, really put it together. Also keep in mind that how you're surrounded and the foundation of your program is very important for an individual's success. And Texas A&M, they were a disaster under Jimbo Fisher. I mean, players were like smoking weed in the locker room before games. It was nuts. And so that can translate to players not fulfilling their potential, but that whole program fell short of expectations. So Walter Nolen to the Eagles at number 32, a player who I really like, one of my favorite players who could go to Philadelphia considering what he can do now and the player that he can develop into. If you want some more draft talk, I got you covered. We talk all things Eagles here on this show. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you soon.